Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Destiny video. And in this video, I want to bring you guys a guide on how to defeat Oryx in the new King's 4 raid. If you guys do find this helpful, then a like would be massively appreciated. Oryx is no joke, so if you know anyone struggling with this fight, then be sure to point them in the direction of this video, because hopefully it will help them out. Now, to begin with, yes, this is a difficult fight. Oryx is massive, there's a lot going on, and it can get hectic. But just like any raid, once you learn the mechanics and you actually understand what's going on, then it's just a case of breaking it down into steps and getting the execution down. In this guide, I'm going to start by explaining how you should set up your team and assign roles, and I'm then going to talk you through the fight step by step. So, first up, this fight takes place in the same room as the fight with Oryx's daughters, only this time the two big pillars where they previously sat don't really have a use. However, the 4 plates that previously summoned platforms are still very much an integral part of the fight. What you want to do is assign 4 members of your team to the 4 different platforms. That's top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. This fight also features the torn between dimensions mechanic, but unlike the fight with the daughters, this time you can control who gets torn, so you'll also want to nominate a runner for that job, and in that case, that's me. As for your 6th fire team member, they are there for DPS. The 4 platform holders then need to be responsible for standing on their plate in the right order needed to summon the platforms for the runner, but they also need to be responsible for detonating the corresponding corrupted light, which I'll speak about in a minute. With the roles assigned, make sure you stick to those and it'll make things a hell of a lot easier. Now onto the fight. Firstly, you approach the glowing Taken Spark, and Oryx will then show his really big ugly face. Initially, some small Taken adds will spawn on the ground, and Knights will spawn up on the plates. Make sure you focus on the Knights as a priority because they deal some nasty damage, but ultimately you want to clear all these adds as fast as possible. Once that's done, Oryx will then move to one of the front 2 plates. Throughout the fight he will venture to the back plates too, but to begin with it's always either the front left or the front right. He'll then slam his hand down on the platform, and when he lifts it up there'll be a tear or a spark. This is what you use to become torn between dimensions, and this is where your runner comes in. See, once the tear spawns, a corresponding relic or orb will spawn above the adjacent platform, and in order to get to this your team needs to stand on the plates to summon platforms for the runner to jump to, and then in turn reach the orb. However, the order in which you stand on the plates is key. It will always, I repeat always, be counterclockwise from where the spark is. So in this case, Oryx slammed the front left platform. So the order would then be front left, back right, front right. This is the order that the players need to jump on the platforms. If they jump on in the wrong order, the platforms won't correctly form and you won't be able to reach the orb, which ultimately means you'll then wipe. It's also important that the first person to jump on the platform and touch the tear is the runner, because as mentioned, that is what will send them into the other dimension. Assuming you have formed all the platforms correctly, your runner will then be able to cross all of them, working counterclockwise to grab the orb. Meanwhile, when the runner is doing this, the platform holders have a very important role. See, while the platforms are summoned and the runner is jumping, special ogres, known as the Light Eater ogres, will spawn in the 4 corners. And when you kill these, a black orb, known as Corrupted Light, will spawn where they died. And it's these orbs that you use to deal damage to Oryx. The ogres have to be a priority. They deal nasty damage, but you also don't want them venturing too far out because you don't want them dropping the corrupted light too far out because it will get in the way, and if you approach it, it'll detonate it prematurely, which is not something you want to do. It's also worth noting that the ogres spawn in the order that you activated the plates. So again, in this particular example, it would have been front left, back right, front right. So you can use that to try and anticipate that. And obviously in the meantime, your DPS fire team member will be helping out to burn down adds and take down ogres wherever needed. Meanwhile, on top of the ogres, there will also be taken adds that will spawn. And while you do want to deal with these as best you can, your main focus has to be the ogres, because what happens next will mean any remaining adds aren't really an issue. See, once your runner's across the platforms and has the orb, they then need to run to the front of the corridor, where Oryx originally spawned, because a Hive Tomb ship will now fly in, and it will drop in a Hive Ultra known as the Vessel of Oryx, and this Ultra has an aura around it. Your runner then needs to approach the aura, and because they're carrying the orb, they'll have a buff known as the Brand Claimer. When inside the aura, they can press X or square, and they'll be able to steal the brand, and this puts a bubble around them known as the Brand of Immortality. And while you're within this bubble, you are completely invulnerable. It's also extremely important that once the brand is stolen, the Vessel of Oryx is taken down, because if he's left to roam free, he'll actually wander around and consume those corrupted light orbs that the ogres dropped, in turn detracting from the damage you can deal to Oryx. At this point, with the Brand of Immortality around you, you then need to approach one of the 4 corners nearest to Oryx. But be careful not to get too close to the black corrupted light, because otherwise it will detonate, and you don't want that to happen just yet. At this point, everyone should now be in your bubble, because Oryx will begin charging up a move that will one-hit kill you if you do not interrupt him. His chest opens up and you need to deal some serious damage here, so make sure you use things like high impact snipers, heavy machine guns, or otherwise high damage primaries. It's worth noting that in our particular situation, our team was between 290 to about 296 light, so our damage output wasn't necessarily quite as high as say some of the 298 teams, which means being too far away meant that we had some serious damage fall off and in turn couldn't flinch him. So our solution to this was obviously getting closer, which then meant we could deal enough damage to make him flinch. Either way, once he flinches, the person with the aura should then move into the centre of the room, and you then need the 4 plate holders to approach their corresponding corrupted light. And you then want to count down and have the 4 team members walk inside the orbs at the exact same time. You need to stand in them for about 3 to 4 seconds, and then on the side of the screen it'll say the name of the fire team member followed by has detonated a corrupted light. Once this happens, they need to run back into the bubble, and you need to shoot Oryx in the chest. The light will then detonate, Oryx will then flinch, and if you detonated all 4 of those orbs at the same time, you will have done 25% damage to his health bar. At this point you now need to run. Oryx will then move back to the centre and begin tracking all players with a light beam. If you stand still for too long or you get caught, he'll kill you, so the easiest way to avoid this is simply to run around in circles. Once this phase ends, Oryx will then pick another plate and you repeat the cycle. You step on the platforms counterclockwise, have the runner run across the platforms, grab the orb, steal the brand, meanwhile everyone deals with the ogres and the ads, you take out the vessel, and again group up closely at the corner nearest to Oryx. Again you make him flinch, move to the centre, detonate the 4 corrupted light, and now you'll have his life down to 50%. At this point you won't need to start running because instead he'll summon a black bubble and begin teleporting your team members inside. When you're inside, the encounter is very similar to the final phase of the story missions. There'll be a shade of Oryx outside the bubble and he'll keep teleporting around and coming in to attack. You need to kill him because if you don't, again you'll wipe. There will be a few ads that come in, but you can actually control these because they actually come from outside the bubble. So anyone that's left outside can actually shoot them before they enter, which in turn makes it easier for people inside. Once you kill the shade, the bubble will go away and you'll return to the room. Now Oryx will pick yet another platform and you repeat the process a 3rd time. After that, he'll bring you back into the bubble again, you defeat the shade for a 2nd time, and you're then on to the final phase. At this point his life should now be down to 25% health, provided you've detonated all 4 orbs all 3 times. You then repeat the process for a final time, and upon detonating all the orbs, his life bar will then appear to be at 0. But do not, I repeat, do not let this fool you. The fight is not over. He'll then make one last ditch attempt to try and kill you. Oryx will then move back to the front of the ship again and start charging up that same one-hit kill move as before. So what you then want to do is rush to the front, DPS his chest and make him flinch. You have to do this because if you don't make him flinch, he'll wipe you out and it'll be the most frustrating way to lose this fight. Believe me, it happened to us, we thought we defeated him, we were all cheering, we were all happy, and he then came in and killed us. So at this point, don't put your controllers down, run towards the front, shoot him in that chest, and then when he flinches, that is the final blow. The fight is over. You then get your drop, you turn around, there's a chest, and that's where you get your loot. And that, my friends, is how you defeat Oryx in the new King's Fall raid. As mentioned, while it is a tricky fight, it's also pretty straightforward once you actually break it down into its different components. The main parts that will cause you to mess up are either not making him flinch, or having someone die and therefore not being able to fulfill their role, so if you can get the routine down, then you'll be absolutely fine. If you have any questions, then by all means let me know in the comments down below, and I will also be doing guides for the first 3 bosses over the next couple of days, so stay tuned for those. But for the time being, thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.